Yeah, I got Boots. I think he's too skillful. IQ level, how quick he is. I think his levels above.
It's hard to really go against Boots because on that one was specifically Xander. You know, I feel Xander's still young. You know, Boots is a lot older and has a lot more experience.
Is this a fight that you dare to say is a 50-50 fight?
Yeah, it gives a 50-50 fight. I give it more, it's 50-50 in a sense, but because of the experience, you can go 60-40, 60 with Boots, 40 with Xander, but it kind of is a 50-50 fight, yes.
Boots has just looked more special athletically to me than Xander throughout their careers, right? On the other hand, when you said Xander got better, Xander was so precocious. He was such a young fighter when we first saw him. And you don't have your man bones yet as a boxer. Now he's...
How do those two match up together? We see Ennis really getting a crack at a guy who is as gifted as he is almost skill-wise, who has the determination and the will that you just talked about.
The winner of that fight should dominate the junior middleweight division for a little while, because those are the top two guys of the division. They're meeting at a great time, and whoever wins this fight should be the supreme.
Boots Ennis and Zayas announced this morning as well. Thoughts on that?
Man, that's a tough fight, you know, especially for Xander at this point in his career, but it shows his heart and his confidence, you know, that he has in himself, and he's ready to go make history for his country, and he's going to do real well in that fight. You know, I just think, you know,
likely possibly happening, Xander versus Boots. How do you see that fight going? Do you think maybe Xander's a little bit too young there?
Too soon.
Too soon. You think
Too
it's
soon, brother. Yeah, I love Sanders, and if he waits and if he's smart and his team is smart, they'll hold on at least 2 more fights, and then, you know, release him to the wolves. And that's, I'm just speaking realistic in how I see it, because I wouldn't want him to lose a really hard fight and him just declining. You get me? And it happens. We've seen it with fighters where it's too soon of a fight. I mean, let's not go far. I mean, I hate to use him as an example, but when Vargas fought Trinidad, it was too soon, brother. And you know, you gotta be patient with your fighters, and I think they have to be patient with Xander Zayas. Not that I'm saying that he can't win. Maybe he can, but maybe he's gonna get hit too much or injured himself. You get me? So
a guy like Xander, naturally it sounds like Xander may be an underdog in this matchup. What do you think that Xander presents to Boots that one, he hasn't seen before, and that two, he'll have to adjust to be successful?
Height, discipline, and Xander's actually a good puncher, and he also knows how to work to the body. So Xander is a complete fighter. I don't know how many complete fighters Boots really has faced, but unlike the guy he fought from overseas who was a decent...
Stop Xander, he could. I've been reading a lot of comments and stuff, and people saying that, you know, 9, 10. I've been also seeing, you know, 11. Shit. Look, I just got done studying some Xander Zayas, man. Late in the fight, he begins to fade. You know, round 8, 9, he starts to fade. Yeah. You know, he starts to fade because all that weight he put on. You know, he put on so much weight in between fights. Boots big, his ass put on weight too. I'm like, God, this dude is big. He look like he about 175. And he come all the way down to 54. Shit, that shit drains him. That drains him. And it pulls from his legs, and in the later round...
The boxing world is split down the middle, and the reason is absolutely wild. Nobody can agree if Xander Zayas is ready for Jaron Boots, Ennis, or if this fight is about to end his career.
But that in the last fight, you know, he's trying to keep it together with good technique, but shit, you can't hide that shit from me. You can't hide that from me, man. Went back, watched the film, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is standardized type of pressure that this dude been putting on him all night. It ain't no special effects. You know what I'm saying? He ain't cutting the angles and looking to cut him off. Occasionally, he will follow his ass. Once he, you know, if he goes Xander pulls out left, he'll try to, you know, meet him with a left hook or meet him with a right hand. But, you know, it wasn't nothing that was like crazy. You know, with head movement, the shit that Boots gonna be doing, all that head movement and sliding, tucking and moving on angles and shit. Boots, that's what Boots gonna attack his ass late. And Boots got power.
Terrence Crawford just dropped a bombshell. He thinks this fight is happening way too early for Zayas. Crawford's looking at Boots' experience and elite-level skills, saying the kid needs more time to develop.
I feel like you yourself, like I said, great boxing mind. I was wondering if I could pick your brain with a particular matchup that was announced yesterday. Okay. You sparred with both of these gentlemen. It's Boots and Zayas.
Oh, yes.
From what I understand, Zayas a little younger into his career. Boots, I believe sometime last year we were able to get some work with him. And you said it's a little closer than what some people are saying. So how do you view that in particular?
Sure, man. You got two soldiers. You know, we always identify ourselves as warriors, you know, so you guys know that we're warriors, right? But I think a lot of times, a lot of fans, they forget that there's two warriors, and they get so caught up in what one warrior has, and they completely forget that even though this guy's got something, listen, this guy standing across from me, like I was saying on the Port Away podcast, we understand that this guy is dangerous, and until we put...
But here's where it gets crazy. Former world champion Abner Mares is backing Crawford's take completely. Mares is straight up saying Zayas is talented but still developing, and facing Boots now could destroy his momentum.
And I truly do think that Xander has a lot, not just some. He has a lot of attributes that are going to offset what Boots has been known for, what Boots has been able to do. And I think it's going to be a pretty good competitive fight. I do think that Boots is a bit much for the younger Xander, but Xander's had a lot of really good experiences that's made him worthy for this moment. I think right off the top, I would say Boots wins this fight, but it's not an easy fight. And should Boots not just simply sit down at the dinner table and have his way, don't be surprised. And I think that's another part of the game that gets lost. You got to promote both sides. Right. It's always A side, B side. And I get that. I understand that. But you got to promote the B side. Yeah. Because what happens when the B side is doing something that you don't expect? Right. All of a sudden, A side isn't doing what he's supposed to be doing, or he's not who he is. No, it's that the B side's more. But you got to promote it that way so that people expect more. You know. So I think along the way, that's going to...
Now listen to this part. Roy Jones Jr. completely disagrees with everyone. He's calling Zayas a complete fighter with ring IQ and maturity beyond his years. When Roy Jones speaks, people listen.
Looks like Xander and Boots are going to fight. What are your thoughts on that fight?
It's going to be a good fight, man. The division looking good right now, you know, and I just want to see all the fighters fight each other, man. The best need to fight the best. That's what's going to bring the fans to boxing. And, you know, you can only be great by beating somebody great. You know what I'm saying? You can have a bunch of wins with no great win. You're just a good fighter, but you want to be great, you need to beat another great fighter. So,
Tim Bradley just revealed something huge about how this fight ends. He's predicting Boots stops Zayas around rounds 9 through 11. And get this, Bradley says Zayas cuts so much weight that his legs give out late in fights.
More for you. What do you think about Boots versus Xander? How do you pick that out?
Man, you know, it's two insanely talented fighters. I myself am a Xander fan. Through and through since day one. I've known him since the amateurs. I'm gonna rock with Xander. He's my guy. I won't ever go against him, man. So Xander's my guy, and I'm gonna keep with him. But Boots is such a talented fighter. I'm a fan of his as well, and I'm excited for that. I just saw he posted today that he's.
Hold up, did you catch what Bradley said next? He watched Zayas' last fight and saw zero advanced strategy or movement that could handle Boots' aggressive style. That's a problem.
June 27th, Xander Zayas. I know we thought Virgil. I know we talked about that. I know we thought Virgil, but nice pivot.
Yeah.
What you thinking?
Oh, he's gonna punish him. He's gonna punish him. He's gonna take him to school, and he's gonna punish him. He's gonna box his head off in circles.
Damn, bro. Like that?
Like that. Taking him to school, literally.
What do you? How does those fights differ? The Boots Virgil, the Boots Xander. Like, what's the differences in approach?
Well, I think that Xander's is bigger naturally, ain't he?
Yeah, he's a little bit bigger.
Yeah, but I think that I think Virgil's a little smarter defensively. I think Xander's more of a rough and tough type of kid. And he hasn't really been too experienced and in there with guys the caliber of Boots at all. So I think that he's just gonna be. I think.
But wait, it gets more interesting. Sean Porter sees this as highly competitive and respects both fighters' abilities. He's leaning toward Boots, but stresses this isn't one-sided at all.
He's not gonna know what to do.
Where's the stoppage? Early, middle, late?
Boots had last time. I should have bet on that first round knockout, man. I was.
Yo, that was out. I thought it would go some rounds.
I know my friend was like, "What should I bet on?" I was like, "I don't know. I was like, "Damn, I should have guessed the first." I'm gonna say the third or fourth.
Yeah.
Say the third or fourth round. Let's come back.
Here's the kicker, though. Winky Wright dropped some real wisdom. Fighters only become great by beating great opponents. This fight is exactly that test for both men to elevate their legacies.
Or to lose here, you know? Not that Ennis doesn't have a lot to lose, but, you know, in a fight of this magnitude, there's a lot to lose for both guys, and there's a lot to gain for both guys. But I think Xander has more to lose, and but also more to gain.
I agree on everything you said except for the fact that the point that Xander has more to lose, because he's already been a two-time champion at 54, unified WBA, WBO, and what was the other one? And the WBA. But if he loses, I think he just moves up to 160, and 160 is a wide-open division, and I think he can do a lot of really good there. Listen, a loss is never a good thing. It's risky for both fighters, but guess what? This is boxing. The guys taking risks when they're young. Xander's
Rising prospect Brooke Mullen just made the boldest prediction yet. She's backing Boots to get a stoppage as early as round 3. Third round, that's showing zero respect for Zayas' chin.
And there's spots where I see Xander, he just gets himself in some bad spots, man. He drops his hands a lot. I see too much exposure on that left side. Way too much exposure on that left side. He gonna have to keep that left hand glued to his face, because that overhand right of Boots is lethal. It's lethal, man. And Boots turn that uppercut up the middle too, especially from the southpaw stance when Xander's leaning forward, man. Another lethal shot. But man, I see a lot of holes in Xander's game, especially when you start to put that pressure on him. Yeah. He try to get the fuck out of Dodge. He don't want none of that heat. Nah, he don't like the heat like that. He like his space. His system requires distance. Can he fight a little bit inside? A little bit inside. It's not a specialty. Nah, he want to be able to work the combinations as you throwing shots. He looking for shots to be able to counter in between with shit, or he looking to start his shit, start the action, boom, weave underneath shots, counter, boom, boom, and then he on to the next. He around that corner.
But here's what nobody's talking about. Paulie Malignaggi thinks Zayas has way more to lose in this fight. One loss could completely derail his rising star momentum and hype train.
Incredible athlete, he has a great jab, he can box, he's in good fights, he has power. But Xander Zayas at 23 is definitely an improving fighter, and like you said, Gabe, he's an economic engine, right? He could be fighting in Puerto Rico, he just sold out in January, he could fight in New York, he's gonna probably have the bigger fan support here. Yeah. And I think this is a great business move for Xander too. He's gonna get a career high payday, and like you said, 190 he walks around at. He hasn't had much more time at 154.
Yeah. And also I'm thinking about is if you really watch Boots does look special all the time. But there's cases where he gets hit a lot. And you're like, man, for you to be so good and so special, why are you getting hit from some of these lower class fighters? So Xander might have seen that. So you know what? Yeah, I know Boots is special. I know he's really, really good, etc. But I see.
Now here's where Bradley gets technical. He's exposing clear defensive flaws in Zayas' game, dropping hands and leaving his left side wide open. Against someone like Boots, those mistakes get punished hard.
Xander fight goes, what does Xander bring to the table that can make this difficult?
I mean, he's young, you know what I mean? And he got something to prove, so that's what I think, you know what I mean? That he got bring to the table. He's young and he got something to prove. In New York, you know what I mean? I think he's from New York.
And here's the business angle that changes everything. Mike Coppinger says Zayas is making a smart move taking this fight as the underdog. Win or lose, facing Boots elevates his marketability and status immediately.
He wants to. We ain't gonna put.
Anything happens though. Anything can happen.
No, I think that's gonna be all right. If Top Rank, I don't know how serious the negotiations is, but I think definitely want to put Boots in with a champion. Being that Virgil Ortiz, the fight didn't materialize. It was a hot fight. Wasn't for the championship. Again, I said that Boots being a champion, a unified champion, a lineal champion. He's going to want a title belt around his waist, which most fighters do. It brings more money, it brings more prestige, and it brings a little bit more swag to the fighter. So belts do matter, and I feel like Boots wants to have a championship around his waist, and I think it's warranted. You know, it boosts his.
Well, there you have it. The experts are completely divided on whether Zayas is ready or walking into a buzzsaw. This isn't just about one fight, it's about whether we're watching a star get made or broken. Who do you think wins this generational clash? Drop your prediction in the comments below, and tell me if you think Zayas is ready or getting fed to the wolves. If this breakdown helped you understand what's really at stake, smash that like button and subscribe because this division is about to get shaken up. I'll see you in the next one.
Turf. Virgil Ortiz Jr. shares emails of a 50-50 fight offer to Xander Zayas. Obviously, Xander Zayas is scheduled to face Jaron Boots Ennis coming up in a few months. Virgil Ortiz is still in a heated battle with his promotional company, Oscar Boy Promotions, along with his manager and their pending legal issues is months and months away, but Virgil is still putting himself out there in terms of staying in the news minute. I think it's really smart. So undefeated welterweight, super welterweight, Virgil Ortiz Jr., 24-0 with 22 knockouts, posted November 2025 email from Golden Boy Promotions proposing a neutral site bout in Nevada or California with even pay-per-view revenue shares from DAZN. Here, we're going to take a look at that here. This shows the real offer, apparently, what Virgil Ortiz is saying. Stop lying to your fans. The answer is yes. Come meet me in Puerto Rico. Oh, I'm sorry. That was from Xander. Xander said, this is not a real offer. Stop lying to the fans. The answer is yes. Come meet me in Puerto Rico. So I remember this going on a few months back. Virgil's putting this back out there. I think it's, just to stay relevant right now because the poor kid is not going to be able to fight for at least a little while. But what's your take on Virgil throwing this out here now at this point, pending this big Xander Zayas and Boots Ennis showdown? Any of you guys? What are you thinking there, Breadman? What do you got? I see you smiling.
I think it was smart to stay relevant. Everybody started buzzing when they heard that Boots and Xander was going to fight. Virgil knows he's going to be on the sidelines. That's his division. So he puts it out there. That he was in negotiations with both of them. It's just a tactic. You know how it goes. They go back and forth. I wanted to fight Boots. I wanted to fight this guy. You know how it is. I actually feel bad for Virgil, man. Because the guy is very accomplished, and to have been through 3 divisions, been a pro this long, have 24 fights, and still haven't had a title shot. I know because the other guys are going to constantly throw that up in his face, like, you keep running your mouth, but you haven't had a title shot. And he's good enough to be a world champion. So I think that
the boxing world is split down the middle, and the reason is absolutely wild. Nobody can agree if Xander Zayas is ready for Jaron Boots Ennis, or if this fight is about to end his career.
Steve Main, thank you for the 2-piece. I got Boots by knockout, 9 or 10. Xander not it. What's your thoughts? You think a knockout would happen?
I don't know. Xander can box. Xander is a big guy. He didn't field out for the weight. You know what I'm saying? He's put on a little bit more muscle. I don't know. I think he
can hold his own.
It's not, yeah, definitely. And I think I don't want to underrate. I don't want to overrate Karen, and I don't want to underrate him. But I think if a guy like Karen can actually do even better, he did better even in the second fight. So I don't. I think Xander probably right there with him. So I will give it a good chance. I don't know, but I think it's an interesting fight because, I think Boots is the heir apparent. Everybody is waiting on Boots to outshine the pack, So, fighting for those 2 titles, against a guy like Xander. He still got a lot to prove, but that goes right in the right direction. That opens him up for the Kelly fight, which he's with.
Terrence Crawford just dropped a bombshell. He thinks this fight is happening way too early for Zayas. Crawford's looking at Boots' experience and elite-level skills, saying the kid needs more time to develop. But here's where it gets crazy. Former world champion Abner Mares is backing Zayas' take completely. Mares is straight up saying Zayas is talented but still developing, and facing Boots now could destroy his momentum. Now listen to this part. Roy Jones Crawfords completely disagrees with everyone. He's calling Zayas a complete fighter with ring IQ and maturity beyond his years. When Roy Jones speaks, people listen. Tim Bradley just revealed something huge about how this fight ends. He's predicting Boots stops Zayas around rounds 9 through 11. And get this, Bradley says JR cuts so much weight that his legs give out late in fights. Hold up, did you catch what Bradley said next? He watched Zayas' last fight and saw zero advanced strategy or movement that could handle Boots' aggressive style. That's a problem. But wait, it gets more interesting. Sean Porter sees this as highly competitive and respects both fighters' abilities. He's leaning toward Boots but stresses this isn't one-sided at all. Here's the kicker, though. Winky Wright dropped some real wisdom. Fighters only become great by beating great opponents. This fight is exactly that test for both men to elevate their legacies. Rising prospect Brooke Mullen just made the boldest prediction yet. She's backing Boots to get a stoppage as early as round 3. Third round, that's showing zero respect for Zayas' chin. But here's what nobody's talking about. Paulie Malignaggi thinks Zayas has way more to lose in this fight. One loss could completely derail his rising star momentum and hype train. Now here's where Bradley gets technical. He's exposing clear defensive flaws in Zayas' game, dropping hands and leaving his left side wide open. Against someone like Boots, those mistakes get punished hard. And here's the business angle that changes everything. Mike Coppinger says Zayas is making a smart move taking this fight as the underdog. Win or lose, facing Boots elevates his marketability and status immediately. Well, there you have it. The experts are completely divided on whether Zayas is ready or walking into a buzzsaw. This isn't just about one fight, it's about whether we're watching a star get made or broken. Who do you think wins this generational clash? Drop your prediction in the comments below and tell me if you think Zayas is ready or getting fed to the wolves. If this breakdown helped you understand what's really at stake, smash that like button and subscribe because this division is about to get shaken up. I'll see you in the next one. But wait, there's something massive we need to talk about that could flip this entire narrative. Stephen Fulton just weighed in, and he's saying something nobody else is considering. Zayas' southpaw stance could be the X factor that neutralizes everything Boots brings to the table. Here's why that matters so much. Boots has looked dominant against orthodox fighters, but southpaws create angles and problems that orthodox fighters simply can't replicate. Fulton thinks this stylistic wrinkle could be the great equalizer everyone's overlooking. Now check this out. Andre Ward jumped into this debate, and he's focusing on something completely different, the mental pressure. Ward says Zayas has nothing to lose mentally, while Boots is carrying the weight of expectations as the supposed next big thing in boxing. But here's the plot twist that's got everyone talking. Boots' own trainer Derek Ennis SR admitted in a recent interview that they've been studying southpaws specifically because they know Zayas brings unique challenges they haven't faced at this elite level yet.